713, it is time to go through your Module 2 overview. I'm just going to take it step by step. This module, we're kind of looking at theoretical perspectives. So in our readings, yes, please pay attention to your time on task, as always. And at the very bottom, you can see that all the assignments, except for the question assignment, is due on Sunday, with the question assignment always being due on Thursday. And that's kind of the pattern of our class. All right. In our readings, we have core readings. You want to read 3 articles. Really think about how theoretical perspectives are used to design and help you frame your qualitative research. We're not giving you a bunch of different theoretical perspectives. We kind of assume that you have some in mind, and we'll get to that toward the end of this video. So read these 3 and think about how the theories that you have already chosen are being worked into your research design. The Explore portion has a lot of really great resources that you can kind of skim, read, or bookmark for later. The project planner is actually really helpful for kind of a linear look of things you're supposed to do. And then there's a lot of other articles that are clarifying things about theory, methodology, and research design. All right, I don't have to say much about the question assignment. It's due on Thursday by 5 p.m. You guys did a great job on your M1. It's the same sort of thing. Your play this time is your qualitative researcher artist statement. So this is a time to really kind of think about your epistemological and even maybe ethical commitments that are concerned with your problem of practice, your context, and what you're going to do with that and why you're doing it. It's a great place to kind of play and reflect on what you're doing and who you are as a researcher. There is an example of an artist statement that you can use to kind of think through this research artist statement. All right, the Connect this time, you're going to use a tool called Jargon Buster, and you're going to look through your readings from either last week or this week and identify a term that you were unfamiliar with, but either became familiar with or are working on becoming familiar with using different resources. The resource that we suggest you use is this Social Science Jargon Buster. It's pretty nifty. One of the things that we like about it is, let's say we go in and talk about colonization. It has just a basic definition, but then it has kind of a more nuanced definition, a discussion about debates and controversy of the concept that you're looking at, some stuff about practical applications, and then key figures that have written about this concept. We ask that you choose a term, share that term, and go through how you understood that term, either using the Jargon Buster or maybe even in papers that you are reading. That will be done on Slack by Sunday. All right. The apply for this week. Remember, this is part 2 of a 5-part series of apply, where we're talking about your research design. We're talking very specifically about your theories and concepts that you're using in your design. Now, you come to us with so many different theories that this is where we're going to work with your particular theories. What we're going to ask you to do is provide a primary citation of the theory that you're using. So this is the original author of the theory. So I'll give you some examples in a second. You're going to state the author credited for the theoretical concept. And then you're also going to find some other scholars who have contributed to the theoretical concept. You're going to find criticisms of the theoretical concept and provide those. And then you're just going to basically kind of discuss how this theoretical concept, theoretical framework, theory in general is important to your problem of practice and your research design. When you discuss that, you're going to talk about the importance to your context, the importance to your problem framing, and the importance to your intervention design, as well as the study design at large. What are you using? How is it helping you guide all of the decision-making in your research design, in your intervention design? How does it help you understand your context or frame your problem? It's kind of what we're looking for in the discuss part, which is here at the end. All right, so I'm going to give you an example of finding a primary citation. A primary citation is usually actually going to be a book. If you have a rather large theory, it's probably been written about and researched and has been compiled in a seminal text, and which is usually a book, most likely not an article. So let me give you an example of how you might find the primary citation. So let's say you really like an article that was in your field. So I'm going to use this article about learning through visual, actional, and linguistic communications, and talks about multimodal learning in a science classroom. This is an article that I have actually used and that I like. What you would do is, in an article, and this is one that you would read before, is you're going to find where their theoretical framework is. Their theoretical framework, it doesn't say it, but this is their theoretical framework. And you're going to read that section looking for the theories they're using. In this case, they're using the concept of learning as a dynamic process of sign making, and that's informed by social semiotics. So the theory they are using here is social semiotics, and they are citing Halliday. Now, this is a rather old site, 1985, which means that has a high likelihood of being the primary citation for social semiotics. Then you go down to the reference page, all the way at the end, and you look at the different philosophers that they might be looking at. They're using Bordeaux, but he's not really a social semiotic originator, but he does talk about language and symbols. So I'd look at this and I'd say, okay, Halliday's the oldest one. They said that it was called social semiotics. I might go into Google and just put in social semiotic theory. Now, I'm actually going to encourage you to use Wikipedia for this if you don't already know what these primaries are. So read the Wikipedia part. It talks a little bit about some history of it. It mentions Saussure, and who is not the originator of social semiotics. He was the person before that. So if you look down here, you finally find that it is Michael Halliday who introduced the term social semiotics, and the book that the seminal text would be Language as Social Semiotics. That is the primary citation that you could use for the theory of social semiotics if that's what you were using. Some Wikipedia entries are really great, and they go ahead and tell you a little bit more about how things were expanded. Hodge and Kress, and later they mention Van Leeuwen and Kress. So if I were coming back here, my primary citation that I would give would be the book, the citation in APA 7 style of Michael Halliday's Social Semiotics book. Then I would talk about probably Hodge and Kress and Van Leeuwen and Kress, and the theories that they kind of went forward with after social semiotics. So for example, in the article that I showed you, that was about multimodality, which is famously a spin-off of social semiotics that has a lot to do with visual grammar and reading the world as a text visually. And famously, the text written by that is by Kress and Van Leeuwen. So I would also put here those scholars, and probably go ahead and put the text, at least one of their text. Then I would just go into Google Scholar, and I would just ask for criticisms of social semiotics or social semiotics and multimodality, and find an article that kind of talks about that. And then I would summarize that criticism of the theory in your entry here. And then even if you have never read the primary citation, that's okay. You probably read a lot of the secondary papers from it that are using the theory. You want to discuss your understanding of that theory and its relationship to your problem of practice, your context, your intervention, and study design. Okay, there's a lot of different ways this could go. I know that some of you have theories that you love, that you're set on, and I know some of you are experimenting with theories. I would not do this for more than two theories. Let's say you're thinking about two different theories that you're really trying to decide between. This is a good exercise for that, to kind of think through how it applies to your problem of practice and your study design. If you do too many of them, it's going to be very time consuming, and you're going to take away some depth of this exercise. When we get feedback here, we may also talk to you about other theories that are spin-offs or related to these theories, as we understand better kind of where you're coming from your epistemological stances, from your commitments to your context, and what you're trying to do in your study with your intervention and your problem of practice. All right. As always, please reach out if you have questions, and I will get to you as soon as possible. All right. Enjoy. Thank you.